Welcome back to 94 Feet, ladies and gentlemen. And hey, doing it like we were back in the day, Saturday mornings. Hey, I wasn't able to catch game four. I was able to listen, just not able to actually watch most of the game. So I'll let Danny kind of kick off with that. But of course, our game four recap a little bit later than usual. But we're getting right into it. Danny, kind of let's hear your breakdown of the game, just so I can kind of get a good feel of how it was, since I was only able to
Okay.
listen on the radio.
Cade, good morning. Like you said, it feels weird to be here in the morning. I was getting kind of used to those late night live streams, man.
I was gonna say, I know, hey, I like that setup, but hey, sometimes you gotta go back to our roots. Sometimes.
It is a Saturday morning. That's true. So we are used to it. But my biggest takeaway, Cade, this was the Steph Curry legacy game, Cade. This was Steph Curry taking over, locked in like we've never seen it before after a sloppy Warriors game three. We talked about how they got out rebounded 47-31. They had more turnovers than the Boston Celtics. When does that ever happen? Draymond Green, no show. Steph or Clay. Oh, Clay finally showed up, but other than Steph and Clay in game three, it was really a sloppy Warriors performance. And Steph Curry came in like we've never seen it before. This wasn't a Steph, hitting a three and shimming around, to ignite the crowd. This was Steph hitting a three, and he's talking, he's flexing, yelling at the bench. It started right away. 2:03 in the first quarter. He had a step back three to go up five, and they're cutting to a timeout, and you see him yelling at the Celtics bench. We just don't see Steph Curry locked in like that, and he was in that zone the whole game. He's been kind of flirting with with a takeover game, and in the first quarter of game one, he drops 21. Game three, he erupted in the third, but this game four, it's been building up for a Steph Curry legacy game. I didn't see it coming. I thought the Celtics were gonna be able to put them away, go up 3-1. But man, Steph Curry right now, he's by far the best player on the court. He's the MVP so far. He's averaging 34 points per game through the first four, off 49% from deep, 50% from the field, 6 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 2 steals. He's doing everything. He showed up on the defensive end in game four, and 43 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, or sorry, how many assists? 4 assists. It's like Steph Curry just went nuts this game.
Yeah, no, that's kind of one of the things I picked up on pretty quickly. Steph Curry had a fantastic game. And just the mentality that you kind of described and what I kind of heard throughout the radio when I was actually able to sit down and watch the game was just, it seemed like he just kind of had that dog mentality, kind of like if nobody else around me is going to help me, I'm going to do everything myself. And that's kind of just the way he's had to play this series. But of course, it hasn't really worked out just because, again, I mean, the Celtics lineup is built to stop a team like the Golden State Warriors. So he really hasn't had that opportunity to kind of just build upon that and really have a game where, as you mentioned, a legacy game for Steph Curry. He hasn't really had that opportunity yet. And of course, I mean, just like any other championship team will do, when you're down 2-1 in a series, recognizing that if you lose this game, you're now down 3-1 in a series, and that's your time to react. You've got to do something. Obviously, Steph did something tonight. Steve Kerr obviously in my opinion, making the adjustments he needed to, switching out Otto Porter or Kevon Looney for Otto Porter to start. I mean, I know that Porter really didn't see that many minutes as a starter, only 15 minutes. Didn't even see many good. It didn't really put together a good stat line as well. But obviously, like I said, you see that being changed around. Also, again, something I kind of figured was going to happen in time was the fact that Steve Kerr was going to shorten down that bench to just, I mean, he only played or was that five? No, 4 players off the bench this game. So he's shortening down that bench, putting in those players that he knows are going to be reliable, getting those minutes in. And I mean, of course, as mentioned, Steph Curry didn't necessarily get the help around him. I mean, Clay had a decent game, at least a much better game than he had in some of the previous games of the series. But I mean, as you mentioned, the big headline of this game four, is Steph, and just the way he was able to kind of put the Warriors overhead on top. If I remember correctly, it was the second highest scoring finals game he's had. And this high scoring one was a loss to the Raptors in 2019. But like I said, just again, it seems that Steph Curry knows he's not necessarily, he's at a point where he knows that he can't necessarily rely on the help around him. So he just kind of has to do everything himself at this point.
This kind of feels like they alluded to this in the broadcast a little bit, this feels like a 2018 LeBron type carry thing where it's like the Warriors, they're not the same talented Warriors team that, was taking over the league. Clay's not himself coming off of that injury. Draymond, we don't even know what happened to Draymond. Wiggins is a nice three, but come on. I mean, Wiggins, they don't even have a center. It's Kevon Looney, 6'8". It's like Steph Curry is carrying this team right now, Cade.
Yeah, no, he definitely is, and I mean, I think it sucks to see though, but like you're talking, this is now game 4. There's 3 games left in the series. Draymond hasn't stepped up. Clay hasn't stepped up as much as I think a lot of people were expecting him to. I mean, you kind of got to think that if you're a Warriors fan, you're freaking out a little bit, despite the series being tied 2-2, because as we've seen in past series, especially with the Boston Celtics, they'll drag that series along. But at the end of the day, they're going to be that team that's going to be grittier, that's going to be putting in the extra minutes and the extra time to make sure that they're actually out there making plays and making things happen. Again, like I said, especially down the stretch, we've seen that against Miami. We saw that against Milwaukee. Two teams, two teams right there where, again, that series carried on and that longevity of that Boston lineup kind of showed there. So, I mean, that's kind of what it seems like. It's setting up to be the exact same thing here in this series too.
You talked about it a little bit earlier, but you talked about the adjustments Steve Kerr made, and my biggest thing was, you mentioned Otto Porter starting, only got 15 minutes, but it was Kevon Looney who played 28 minutes, the most points per game so far this series, and I feel like Steve Kerr finally found a lineup that works. It was Curry, Clay, Poole, Wiggins, and Looney at the 5. We saw it in the 4th, and um, Draymond Green was getting benched in the 4th, and Steve Kerr kind of wrote it out. I know you look at the stat line, I'll pull it up right now. It doesn't look too bad. He gave you 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 steals, but 2 points still. He was still a liability on the offensive end. How many times did we hear the broadcast, Mark Jackson say, Draymond Green's not even cutting anymore. He's just standing at the 3-point line and letting everyone else go to work. But it reminded me of the Nikola Jokic effect, Cade, where it was like on offense, it was Jokic late in games, and then on defense they would kind of bring in like Paul Millsap, if you remember, and they would kind of just only play Jokic on offense, and they kind of did that with Draymond. Wiggins came in for Draymond with 7 minutes left when they were down 4, and Wiggins comes in and instantly has 2 huge putback layups. And then with 4 minutes left in the game, Draymond finally comes back in when the Warriors are up 3. And then he comes back out. And then when the Warriors are up 6, they put Draymond back in with 56 minutes left in the game when they kind of just need him to clamp up. He comes in for Jordan Poole. So we're finally seeing Draymond Green not get that star treatment. And Kerr, he's willing to bench him in the 4th quarter. And after game 3, after another terrible offense performance in game 4, it's about time, Cade.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the biggest part out of that is the fact that, like you said, it's game 4. And as I said too earlier, is that this is the difference between tying the series 2-2, going back to San Francisco, or going down 3-1. And everybody at this point knows the stats about 3-1. I mean, there's only been one team to do it. It's very unlikely for a team to do that, especially a team like Golden State, in my opinion. So that's the difference maker right there. And of course, when you have a guy like Draymond Green, who you would expect to be as consistent as he should be, to put up the stat lines he has been in this NBA Finals, it's that time where Steve Kerr has to make that transition to kind of just say, until he starts getting that offensive side of the ball moving, you just got to recognize that he's not going to be there. You're playing a 5-on-4 when you're playing offense, so yeah, at this point, I feel like these are really where these adjustments come in. But of course, obviously, it just depends on how things translate over into game 5. I feel like you'd think, or at least you'd think, that Steve Kerr would be making those same adjustments. But at the same time, I feel like, again, Draymond is one of those players that, like, you can honestly, like, he put up a stat line like this in game 4, but after 2 days of rest in game 5, he could go off. That's just kind of the way I feel him. Uh,
Draymond?
yeah, I'm not saying he will.
No,
I'm just saying I feel like he can be one of those guys that I think he's still got it in him. I just think just this series, I feel like he's just been putting that motivation and effort into other things that aren't offensive related.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know if Draymond still got it. Over under 1.5 games, Draymond scored 20 points this season, this entire season, Cade.
Wait, so
Take
wait,
a
I guess.
guess.
Sure, I mean, I'm going under. I'll take that.
Exactly. It's under. He didn't score 20 points once this season.
Yeah, okay. See, that's the thing though, is that like with the stat line that Draymond has been putting up, honestly, if you get a 10-point game out of him at this point, I mean, that's something that's better, especially if he's still playing good defense. Like if he puts up a double-double with 10 points and like 12 boards, I think any Golden State fan and honestly teammate will take that. Especially if Curry continues to play the way he has been. If Thompson kind of builds back up, like as you said, he kind of showed up in this game a little bit, putting up 18 points. Nothing too crazy, but of course, when you have two defensive minded teams like Golden State and Boston, I don't think you're really going to be seeing that many players get up into the high point values. Of course, unless you're somebody like Steph Curry, who's kind of carrying that team right now. So I just think at this point, I mean, I think Draymond at some point is gonna get one of those games where he's gonna do a little better than what he has been, and that's gonna help the Warriors significantly. Um, but yeah, like I said, I feel like it just puts Steve Kerr in an interesting situation because even then, you look at that bench, you're not gonna have a guy off that bench that's putting up the same defensive stats like Draymond is. So again, like I said, if you're Steve Kerr, you're kind of in this weird pickle where how much do I end up playing Draymond? And how much is he actually going to end up helping me on the defensive side, considering that offensively he's not really going to do much.
Do you want to go into the Celtics now, Cade? We got enough Warriors talk? Anything else?
Yeah, I think I'm good with the Warriors. I mean, again, like I said, I feel like kind of as mentioned, just what we were expecting to happen in Game 4 kind of happened. Just that champion team's going to react the way they need to kind of survive. As I mentioned, when you got your backs up against the wall, that kind of gives you support. So they reacted well this game, and yeah, let's go into Boston and see kind of where they were
Real
at.
quick, actually, I got one more thing to say about the Warriors.
All right,
That Splash Bro lineup with Jordan Poole in it, that's really only going to work if Jordan Poole is on offensively, and we saw it in Game 4. He was efficient, 6 for 13, 14 points. He had some big threes in the second half. But if he's not on, which we've seen earlier in the series when he put up 10 points off like 2 of 7 from the field, he just becomes a liability because if he's not giving you anything offensively, he's a matchup problem defensively, and it kind of just worked out for them. So if Kerr's gonna roll with this lineup, having Draymond on the bench, Jordan Poole is the X factor on that lineup. He's gonna need to be locked in offensively.
Yeah, I agree. And I think with somebody like Jordan Poole, he's just got to kind of step up to the occasion. I feel like that's something you've seen. You've kind of seen that younger player mentality kind of show here, where again, I mean, Boston's been all over him and he's reacted in some ways, obviously, in a game like this. But again, you see those inconsistencies with him. And again, as you mentioned, he's a guy that needs to step up for this lineup if they want to keep in this series and actually get a chance to win it. But yeah, okay, going over to Boston, Danny. Again, like I said, I wasn't able to watch the game, so let's hear your thoughts on how this, how you felt Boston played this game.
Well, you said you expected that the Warriors were going to win. I expected the Celtics to win, and it looked
What? No,
like
no,
that way.
I said the Celtics were going to win. I had them going up
In
3-1
Game
in the series.
4, I thought you
Yeah,
had the Warriors in Game 4.
no, I had Warriors in Game 3. I thought they were going to carry that momentum into Game 3. Game 4, I had Boston.
Oh, okay, got you. Okay, so we were both off.
Yeah. Well, wait.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. But yeah, going back into it, Celtics talk.
All right, yeah, sorry. We'll go back into Celtics talk. They're up at halftime, Cade. Curry was going off at halftime, and you could kind of see that he was gonna drop 40. I called it in like the first quarter. I was like, yo, Steph Curry's crazy. He's locked in. And the biggest stat that the broadcast was mentioning was that the Celtics win the fourth quarter and they lose the third. The Warriors were like plus 43 point differential through the first 3 games in the third quarter, but fourth quarter the Celtics were plus 40, and that's kind of, been the story through the first 3 games. And even though the Celtics team all year long struggled to close games, and then this last night they put up 19 points in the fourth quarter, just totally disappointing. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they combined for like 44 points. Cool, that's great. But when Tatum, after an aggressive game 3 where he came out and took over. He was attacking the rim, dishing it, attacking Curry. Fourth quarter, he shoots 1 for 5 with 3 points. He doesn't get to the line. He just wasn't attacking. Jaylen Brown, 3 for 6, efficient. That 3 for 6 sounds pretty good, but when his last shot attempt was only with 4 minutes and 12 seconds left in the game, his last made field goal was at 7 minutes and 32 seconds to put the Celtics up 4. That's just not good enough. When Jaylen Brown is not getting shots up in the when he doesn't get a shot up in the last 4 minutes of the game, that just doesn't make sense to me. The offense started to run through Marcus Smart the last like 2 minutes of the game. He had I know he made 1 3, but it was like he was just chucking up shots once again. Um, Disappointing fourth quarter after a well fought game. They were only down 1 in the third. They were at one point they were up 4 in the fourth. Just I was very disappointed with how the Celtics played in the fourth.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, as mentioned, when you have a guy like Jaylen Brown who has been playing so well in the fourth quarter this series and throughout the postseason in general, put up the stats he did in the fourth quarter, that kind of says a lot about the way that this Boston team played throughout the entirety of the fourth quarter itself. And I mean, they kept it close the entire game. I think they responded very well in the fact that they knew that a team like Golden State was going to answer back the way they did. And the fact that they kept it as close as they did the entirety of the game. I think that says a lot about that Boston team. But of course, I think where experience shows the most is the fact that they had an opportunity to go up 3-1 in this series, have a comfortable lead going back to San Francisco, a place where you already won game one. I think that they did. I don't want to say fell apart, but I think they definitely did kind of lose it in the fourth quarter, and that obviously is going to be a big difference maker in the way that the rest of the series plays out. Because, like I said, they had that opportunity to go up 3-1. They answered back, or they answered the Warriors really well, knowing that they were going to fight this game real hard. But of course, I mean, it just seemed like the Warriors wanted it more at the end.
I mean, yeah, seriously, at the end, offensively, the Celtics fell apart. They wasted, a great Robert Williams game. He's had 2 amazing games. Um, we'll see if he can keep replicating 12 rebounds, 2 blocks, 7 points. Marcus Smart -17. That's just not good enough after he came up big in game 3. I think he had was it 20 piece in game 3.
I
Um,
can check that real quick.
yeah, it's just not good enough for Marcus Smart. Defensively, also, it was like Smart just wasn't in. Looking ahead to Game 5, Cade, any early leans?
Okay, real quick. First off, yeah, Marcus Smart put up 24 in game 3.
Yeah.
Um, I think my big thing with just game 5 itself is that looking back at game 4 and the way this Boston Celtics team played, to me, it really seemed like they had a lot of the momentum for the first 40 minutes of that game. I thought that they were really playing good basketball. As mentioned, I thought that, I mean, they knew that Golden State was going to have to answer back, knowing that they had a chance to go up 3-1. But Boston took that game just as seriously as Golden State did, knowing they had a chance to go up 3-1. So I think that momentum plays a lot. But of course, when you're playing as physical of a game as this, where both teams know what's on the line, both teams know how important this game 4 is. Um, that momentum, like I said, kind of fell apart at the end for Boston, and I think that could play a big role going into Game 5, especially with the amount of momentum that Golden State has now. I'm not going to say my prediction yet, but I think again, like I said, just going being this late in the series now with 3 games left, momentum is going to play the biggest factor in the way that teams win these games. And now seeing that Boston kind of fell apart, that's got to be a little bit demoralizing. And like I said, I think that's just going to play a big role in the way that Game 5's played out for Boston.
I don't think it'll be too demoralizing. This Boston team has shown throughout the playoffs that they can bounce back. Down 3-2 against the Bucks, they win that series. Against the Heat, they win Game 7 at Miami. They haven't lost back-to-back playoff games. So even though this Boston team is so inconsistent, the highs and lows are just crazy on this team. It really doesn't make sense. They put up 19 points in the fourth And in the first quarter on Sunday or whenever the game 5 is going to be, they could put up 33. So I'm not too worried. I think they're going to bounce back, but the Celtics, it seems like they really found their lineup. They're playing their starters heavy. Derek White played 36 minutes off the bench, but other than that, we saw 13 minutes out of Grant Williams and 10 minutes out of Pritchard, who I've been asking for more Pritchard. And with the way Marcus Smart was playing in Game 4, Ime Udoku, did I say it right, Cade?
Almost Ime Udoka.
Ime
You were
Udoka.
close though. Yeah, hey, like I said, by the end of this, by the end of the finals, you're gonna get it.
Ime Udoka put in Pritchard and for 10 minutes, but he really didn't do anything. So he gave him a shot. I'm expecting Game 5 once again, heavy minutes out of the same 6 guys we see. Not too many adjustments I'm expecting out of the Boston side, but on the Warriors side, I think Kerr found his lineup that he really likes, and I like it too. It's that Poole, Curry, Clay, Wiggins, and Looney lineup. So that's what I'm expecting heading into Game 5.
Yeah, no, I like that. I will say though, with Kerr in Game 5, do you think that he's going to end up keeping Otto Porter and is that starter? Or do you think that they're going to put Kevon Looney back in the lineup to start Game 5?
Well, it's tough because Porter hit some big shots in Game 4, and he played some solid minutes. I think he only played like 14 in Game 4 as well, but they were effective 14 minutes. But he kind of gave you a doozer in Game 4, where 15 minutes he 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 points. Like that's just not good enough. I don't think we'll see Otto Porter in the starting lineup in Game 5. If I'm being honest.
No, I agree with that. I think it's. I want to see what Kerr does with Otto Porter though, because again, as you've mentioned, he can put up stats, but it just doesn't really seem like him in a starting position is really where he needs to be. I know that the whole idea of that was to go towards a more offensive minded set, but at the same time, I mean, you look at the way that the first half of these past 4 games have gone. There's no real. I feel like there's no real need to change things up in the first half. Every game has been really close going into halftime.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to be able to kind of get that separation early on so that when you do get into those third and fourth quarters where you know that either Golden State's going to go off in the third quarter or Boston has a chance to go off in the fourth quarter, you have that separation. But at the same time, it's like, why, why wouldn't you make those adjustments at halftime instead? Because I feel like you'd rather, in a sense, I'd almost rather play it close going into halftime and keep it in a position where you can either keep it close if things get a little bit overwhelming, or you have a position to really go up ahead late in the game. Because at the end of the day, I feel like even then, like you could go up big in going into halftime, and if you're Boston going up big into halftime, I mean, you could see the Golden State Warriors put up a big third quarter, and now it's a game again.
Yeah.
Or you have again, like I said, Golden State kind of going trying to go up big into halftime. But if Boston keeps that gap at least relatively close, you can see them going off again in the fourth quarter. So I think, again, like I said, realistically, I don't think any of these teams should be making any major adjustments until you start the second half in Game 5.
What do you want to get into next?
Honestly, let's just go straight into, I mean, just Game 5 predictions. Let's talk about just where we think that Game 5 is going to end up, who's going to win, what you should be expecting out of Game 5. And yeah, I mean, just keep it simple.
Okay, going into Game 5, is Steph Curry gonna put up another masterpiece? And here's what I'm gonna say. This is my prediction. I think Steph Curry's gonna cool off at home. You know, Kate. I'm gonna be honest. Can you go first, bro?
Yeah.
If you have
This
a
is,
pick,
no, I agree. This is a difficult situation
this
because I
is
think
tough. I'm having it tough.
Boston is putting up some. I mean, as I mentioned in Game 4, it seemed like they had Golden State's number all the way through, except for Steph Curry. Steph Curry just had such a big game, but of course, I can't really. I mean, if Steph Curry puts up another massive game and they find a way to win this series just off of Steph Curry's play, you're talking about possibly one of the best finals performances in NBA history. I just don't see that happening. I think Game 5, you're going to see, as you mentioned, you're going to see Steph Curry slow down a little bit. Um, but at the same time, just being back at home, having that momentum, I mean, that's got to be at least a little bit just of a good feel for that Golden State lineup. So I think you're gonna see a little bit more help in places like Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole. I know they put up some decent numbers in game 4, but I think you're going to see them kind of step it up a little bit in game 5. That momentum is going to shift and kind of keep that uh kind of just those stats getting put up for a Thompson Pool. I'll even say Andrew Wiggins. I think this is going to be the time you see Andrew Wiggins put up a 20-point game in the series. Uh, so at this point, I see as of now with momentum after winning game 2, or my bad, game 4, going back to Golden State. I like Golden State in this game. I think this is going to be the game that Boston loses twice for the first time in the postseason, twice in a row for the first time in the postseason. And like I said, I think Golden State goes up 3-2 in the series.
Okay. I'll go the other way. I think I'm going to take Boston. Let me tell you why. As good of a game Steph Curry played, they were still down 4 late in the fourth. And Boston's offense just unraveled. I don't think that's going to happen again. I think Tatum is going to come back locked in like he was in game 4 at Oracle, or sorry, in game 3 at it's not Oracle. What's the stadium called?
It's Chase Center.
At the Chase Center, man. I'm still
Yeah,
calling it Oracle.
I was gonna say it's still a new home for them, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna see another game 3 Tatum, and maybe the Warriors are looking ahead to game 6, Clay at Boston. Um, I mean, then I think they'll take the game 6 and then game 7 back at Chase Center. I think Boston will close it out, but in game 5, give me the Celtics to figure it out offensively. Big Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown games. This was kind of something that really doesn't happen too often, where both of the stars kind of disappeared late in the fourth. We have seen Marcus Smart, kind of ball hog it, but I don't think it'll be at this extent. So give me the Celtics in game 5.
See, I like that. My big thing is just home court advantage. I think it's played a decent role in the series so far. I know they've both split games in Boston and San Francisco, but at this point, I feel like they're going to be relying on home court advantage so much. At least Boston, in my opinion, is going to be. So I can understand why they'd want to take one on the road, but at the same time, I think Golden State, just going back into it, I think they're going to be a little bit more relaxed, more ready to go into Game 5. And like I said, it's going to be a close game. Don't get me wrong, but I think, like I said, that home court advantage is going to kind of help them along the way. I'm trying to think. I had something else on mind about Golden State that I was trying to think about. Yeah, shoot. Okay. Do you have anything else? If it comes back to me, I'll say it. But do you have anything else?
I think I'm all done. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. But yeah, no, I think, again, like I said, I think the series. Well, here's okay. Now I know what I was going to talk about. Here's the thing too. I think Game 5 is pivotal if we want to see a Game 6 Clay. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I
okay.
think Golden State is now at that position where it's like, if we want to see, and I mean, I purposely put the Game 6 Clay above your monitor, Danny, just to. I mean, it's perfect postseason moment. But yeah, I think, again, like I said, I mean, I think Game 6 Clay is going to step up. It's going to come out no matter what, whether Golden State wins this game or loses this game. But again, like I just feel like in this situation, Golden State's going to come away with this one. I think that momentum is going to carry. I think that Golden State is going to have a great game at home. Again, like I said, the role players in Golden State are going to kind of show up a little more. You're going to get help a lot farther around. It's not just going to be through Steph Curry this time. You're going to see pretty much that entire lineup put up decent numbers, in my opinion. And like I said, I think it's going to be a 3-2 series lead for Golden State, the first series lead that they're going to have this entire finals run.
Okay, let's see. I'm excited. It's Monday, by the way, not Sunday.
Yeah, Monday. So hey,
Okay.
I know I'll be good to watch the game. So I definitely have a little bit more insight there. But of course, game 4 preview done. Thank you guys for joining in today. If you haven't followed us on social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of that at 94 Feet Show. Tune in Monday night. We'll let you guys know of a time a little bit closer to the date to see our game 5 preview. And I was going to say, soak it up because we only got 3 more games. We're already halfway through the series. So it won't be a matter of time before this season ends, and we got to look at the terrible time of the NBA offseason. So, like I said, enjoy it. Have a great day, everybody, and see y'all on Monday.